Shalom Aleichem. Hope you're well. What I want to do is start something. I want to experiment. I would love your feedback on it. Tell me what your thoughts are. We're all struggling, and we all are digging deep to find emunah, habitachon, trust, faith in Hashem. And throughout history, this has been a challenge. To believe in God is one thing. To believe when things are tough and to believe that He's in control is a whole different thing. And for the last 1,000 years, Jews throughout the world have looked at one book. You can find it all over the internet. It's called the book Chovat HaLevavot, Duties of the Heart. And specifically in the book Duties of the Heart, which focuses on mitzvahs that are focused on the heart, the fourth section of the book is called Shaar Habitachon, the Gate of Trust. There's many editions. This is the Art Scroll edition. There's many editions of this. And the beauty of this book is that even reading a few lines uplifts you. So it's not a typical kind of shiur. In other words, I'm not heading anywhere. I'm in no rush to finish this book. It's not as if once I finish the book, I got it. It's a book that you read over and over. Some of the sages said they read it hundreds of times. But it's a moment. It's a moment that you spend together talking about emunah, about bitachon, about trust in Hashem, and it uplifts you. And just spending as much as we can talking about this, I think, will inspire us. The reason I'm doing this is for me, straight out. I need this book. I need the Shaar Habitachon. I need it. I feel like I'm struggling. I'm a human being, and it's tough times, and we're burying young men, and we're seeing deep pain, and we're seeing financial. Do I have to tell you what the world's going through? And after kvetching to Hashem and crying to Hashem, and you've seen some of my shiur, at some stage I'm like, I'm getting tired of being angry. I want to believe. I want to believe. I want to tap in. I was sitting earlier today with a wonderful woman who unfortunately suffered a terrible loss recently. She looks at me and she says, I'm not angry at Hashem. To myself, really? Really? And this is not the woman who calls herself religious. I call her religious because I think she's the highest of levels. But she doesn't walk around with a big sheitel or a small sheitel. But she says, I'm not angry to Hashem. And I thought to myself, I want to not be angry. I mean, I'm comfortable being angry with him. I don't think it's a bad thing for the relationship. But I want to feel the love as well. I want to feel the closeness. So, based on that, I thought to myself, let me go back to this book. For 1,000 years, we have found bitachon through reading this book. Let's go chapter word by word. So what I'm going to do, again, this is all experimental, and I would love your feedback, even though getting feedback for shiurim is like pulling teeth. I would really, really like your feedback. We're going to read it together, line by line. I'll obviously offer some context, some biur, some explanation. But I want Rabbeinu Bachya ibn Pekuda, the great author, we don't know much about him other than the fact that he wrote this massive book in the 11th century. We're not exactly sure when in the 11th century. He wrote it originally in Jewish Arabic, which was the language of the time where he was living in Northern Africa. And not too long after that was translated to the Hebrew by the same translator who translated many of the works of Maimonides, one of the great translators of all time. And many editions have come out, English editions and various languages. So for the sake of sharing the text, I went to Sefaria, one of the most incredible websites that has unlimited amount of Torah content. And I'll also be explaining it based on other texts, including the article I have in front of me, some of the Lubavitcher Rebbe's insights. And we'll go and we'll try to build our bitachon. What do you say? Again, give me feedback. Does it work for you? Does it not work for you? If it works for one person, that's enough. Truth is, if it works for me, but why should I torture you to send you videos if it doesn't work for you? So let me know if it works for you. Okay, stop hacking at Shainik and start talking. Let's go. Amar HaMechaber. The author says, because our previous text dealt, this is, as you can see, the fourth treatise on trust, The fourth says, because we spoke about Kabbalah Avodas Alikim, we spoke about accepting the service of Hashem, the duty to accept the service of Hashem. I deemed it proper, I deemed it proper to follow it, that which is needed more than anything else, what's necessary more than anything else, to someone who serves God. And what is that? Habitachon Allah. Placing one's trust on him, reliance on him. There's no perfect translation for the word bitachon, but we could use words like reliance and absolute confidence that he'll take care of me. B'chol dvarav, in all the things, in all my items. Ba'avor ma sheyesh boi min ha'to'aliyos hagdolis b'inyan ha'torah b'nei olam. Bitachon is vital to every servant of Hashem because it provides major benefits in regards to Torah, spiritual matters, as well as regarding to worldly matters. In other words, it helps you with your spiritual work, becoming a better spiritual person, and it helps you with your physical life. V'to'altav boi b'torasei. And the v'to'alasav and the benefits in religious matters are this, and he continues. And then he obviously focuses on the benefits of your in your life as well. Okay, let's go. Mehen, from them, amongst the benefits. Menuchas nafshoy ubitchoynei al elokav. That one experiences peace of mind and reliance upon his God in the way that a servant must rely on the master. Mipnei she'im einenu boiteach b'Elokim, because if somebody is not trusting in Hashem, boiteach bezulasai. A true servant of Hashem must rely on him in every aspect. For if you do not rely and trust in Hashem, you will inevitably place your trust in someone or something other than Hashem. And as such, you're not serving Hashem. And remember, the previous gate is about serving Hashem. Moreover, umi sheboiteach bezulas Hashem, and someone who places their trust outside of Hashem, what does that cause? Hashem withdraws his providence from him. Not totally. Hashem never withdraws his providence, but partially. And then we lose the benefit of Hashem's protection, and this, more important, we lose the serenity knowing that he's taking care of us. So you lose something. You lose his true supervision, but more importantly, you lose your confidence in the supervision. And rather, Hashem says, fine, you don't want to trust me? I'll put you in the hands of the person you do trust, your boss, your spouse, your wealthy father-in-law. I'll put you. Now, this is not a punishment. This is not the point that he's saying, I'm going to punish you because you didn't listen to me. No, you're saying, I'm not relying on you. Fine, don't rely on me. And it will be as if it says, because there's a verse that says it in the book of Yirmiyahu and Jeremiah, Kishtayim rois asa imi, that God says that the two evils that the Jewish people did against me. Number one, Oisi azvu mekar ma'im chayim lachtzos bahem boiros nishbar. Number one, what did they do? They exchanged their glory. Sorry, they have forsaken me, the spring of apologies, recording while having a family at home during lockdown, but can't complain. Baruch Hashem. So number one, they forsake me, the spring of living waters. Number two, they dug for themselves cisterns, broken cisterns that do not hold water. In other words, not only did you leave me, you went to nonsense. Not only do you not trust me, you trust in amateurs, you trust in second class, you trust in nonsense. Now again, we're not saying Hashem removes the providence. We say that he removes the providence to the extent that the person places the trust in someone else. If you have partial trust in Hashem, then we get divine providence proportional to what we do. If we have no trust in Hashem, then we lose that. We lose that proportional. Says the next text, they exchanged their glory for their likeness of an ox eating grass. The Tehillim says they exchanged their glory for liking of a likeness of a grass-eating ox. The sin of the golden calf, where the people exchanged their glory, their faith to Hashem, for an ox. And the golden calf is called a grass-eating ox because an ox is most disgraceful while it eats grass. Come on, really? That's your God? Yisrael? This is your God, Jewish people? Have you lost your marbles? So what do we see from here? If one fails to trust in Hashem alone, they become distant from Hashem. For Amar HaKasuv, and the Pasuk says, Baruch HaGever, how blessed is the man, Asher Yiftach Ba'Hashem, V'haya Hashem Yiftacho. Blessed is the guy who trusts in Hashem, and Hashem is his security. V'amar, and it says more so, Ashrei HaGever Asher Sam Yiftacho V'leifano Rahavim V'satei Chazav. Praiseworthy is the man who made the Lord his trust and did not turn to the haughty and those who turn to falsehood. Now, what this verse is telling us is that if you don't trust in Hashem, then you will turn to arrogant human beings. It's not saying don't trust in the vaccine. The vaccine, please, God will help us, but don't trust only in the vaccine. And remember, the vaccine comes from Hashem. As we see in Israel now, even the vaccine is not a foolproof. We do the best we can. We're not idiots, and we don't go anti-vax. And I'm sorry if you're an anti-vaxxer, but I consider that idiocy. It's not a political statement. When it comes to medicine, you follow doctors, not conspiracies. But still, you don't put your trust in them. You don't put your trust in them. As it says in Yirmiyah as well, accursed is the man who trusts in man, who makes flesh his strength, and whose heart turns away from Hashem. In other words, you have to rely on somebody's help, but remember where it comes from. And I have to tell you a great story. I've shared this story to the community so many times, but I never tire of it. And I need to hear it. This, in general, this shiur is the first shiur I've ever given that I feel like I'm talking to myself. I'm talking to myself. I need to hear this. There was a wonderful Yiddeleh, wonderful Jew, who had unbelievable trust in Hashem. But he was a pauper, didn't have a penny to his name. And his wife used to look at him and say, come on, we have daughters to marry. We don't have dowry, we can't marry them. And he used to say, what do you want me to do? So you have a wealthy brother that lives in the big city. Go travel to him. Yeah, but I don't know, I haven't been in contact with my brother in years. He's your brother. Go there. She nudges. He finally acquiesces and he says, Zol Zain, fine, Mazel Tov, good. Good, I'll go. She prepares a wagon for him. The wagon pulls up. The family's all excited. Finally, dad is going to be proactive and take care of the family. The father puts his right foot on the step onto the wagon, pauses, takes his foot off the wagon and walks back into the house. And things went bonkers. Totally bonkers. Have you lost your marbles? You finally convinced you to go visit your brother to be able to support you. Why in the world? What's going on? So he looks at his wife and says, number one, I'll say it in Yiddish because it's so rich, and I'll translate. Wer sagt, as mein Bruder lebt? Who says my brother is alive? Number two, und as lebt, wer sagt hat noch Geld? Who says he still has money? He might be alive, but he doesn't have money. Und as hat Geld, number three, and if he has money, wer sagt, as will geben? Who says that he wants to give? Who says he wants to give? Aber, however, that Eibishter lebt. Hashem is alive. Und hat. And he has. Und will geben. And he wants to give. And I'm going to trust him. Und wird geben, he's going to give me. You can't argue with that. Okay. Failed experiment. I'm sure the wife wasn't overly pleased, but it is. Not too long after, a group of soldiers were traveling through the city. They were going to war, and they had quite a bit of booty that they managed to conquer from the war. And they ask around town, who's an honest fellow? And they say, this Yankele, this Jew is an honest fellow. So the head of the group of soldiers, the captain, general, whatever, comes to him and says, listen, we're going out to war. I don't know if I'm going to survive. I'm not going to survive. I should be back in 30 days. If I'm back in 30 days, I'll take it. And I'll thank you and I'll pay you for your service. If not, it's yours. Fine. 30 days later, the guy doesn't come back. Obviously, he was killed in battle, whatever. Waits another few days. Finally, it's already a month extra. And his wife says, no, let's see what's in the box. They open it up and it's Gevarin La Yehudim. It was totally joyous. Why? There's tons of stuff. Gold, silver, diamonds, the whole thing. Doesn't know what to do. Is it mine? Is it not mine? What do I do? So he had a Rebbe. He had a sage. He had a wise Chassidic master who he used to travel to. So he says, closes the box and he says, we're not touching this until I go talk to the Rebbe. So he travels to the Rebbe and he arranges an appointment. I forgot which Rebbe it was. The story talks for itself. As he's walking into the office of his sage, his mentor turns to him with a smile and says, that Eibishter lebt. Hashem is alive. Und hat was zu geben. He has what to give. Und will geben. And he wants to give. Und hat gegeben. And he did give. Now go gesund and enjoy the money. That story melts me every time I say it. I've said it dozens of times. Hashem has. Hashem's alive. He has and he wants to give and he can give and he will give. And that's what we're talking about. Baruch Hagever Shiftach Hashem. Trust in Hashem. Don't trust in yourself. Don't put it all on yourself. Trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I have to continue. I have to continue. This text is too good. We can't just take a break right now. We have to go do a little more. Ve'im yiftach hachachmasai v'tachbuloisai v'koyach gufay v'ishtadlusai. If you rely on your wisdom and your tactics and your physical strength and your innovation, industriousness, yigalarik, you're toiling for nothing. And you're going to weaken your strength. And your tactics will fall short from accomplishing the desire. Like it says in the verse in Eov, in Job, Loichet chachamim ba'armam. Hashem traps the wise in their shrewdness. What does that mean? Hashem traps those who choose to rely on their own wisdom by leaving them confined to the limitations of their shrewdness. Okay, big genius, let's figure it out. And it always proves inadequate. Or a different opinion explains it, that Hashem traps them by turning their own strategies against them. Point is, you want to stand on your own 2 feet, figure it out. But Amar, and it also says in Kohelet, in Ecclesiastes, Shafti v'ra'ei tachas hashamash. And I returned and saw under the sun. Because in general, most of the book of Kohelet is first person. This is what my experience is. This is what King Solomon, who's the author of Kohelet, says. I've come and I've returned and saw under the sun that the race does not belong to the swift. Loila kalim maretz. Loila gibarim milchama. Nor does the war belong to the mighty. Nor riches to the intelligent. In other words, not every guy that's clever is wealthy, and not everyone that's wealthy is clever. Not everybody that's strong wins a war, and not everyone that wins a war is strong. Life is not like that. There's probabilities, but you don't know it. And like we say in the end of benching, the end of davening, it says in Tehillim that young lions may want and hunger, but those who seek Hashem lack no good. Mighty young lions go hungry despite their great strength. And Hashem could take care of the human being who's not as strong. They look for people who seek out for Hashem the sustenance, they'll never lack good. Again, there are people that struggle, but the point is Hashem could take care of you even if technically you don't have it. I've seen people who don't necessarily have the best IQ or the best common sense or EQ, who've done very well for themselves in whatever career they've chosen. And I've seen real geniuses who for the life of us cannot figure anything out. They can't even figure out how to have one day of peace in their marriage. Not every genius has bread. It's important to remember this. Let's cut it on. We're going to continue next time, and that is what happens if a person says, you know what, I'll rely on my money. What happens if we say, I'm going to rely on my money? And then we'll talk about the second spiritual benefit of Habitachon and much more. I look forward to go on this journey with you, and I look forward to your feedback. Please, please.